June 14th is poised to be a day of profound national contrast. This date, already significant as Flag Day, the U.S. Army's 250th birthday, and President Donald Trump's 79th birthday, is set to host two vastly different public expressions. A planned large-scale military parade in Washington, D.C. will coincide with a nationwide wave of counter-protests under the banner "No Kings." This juxtaposition transforms a day of potential commemoration into a focal point for competing visions of American identity, power, and governance. Understanding the motivations and implications of both events requires careful analysis. The proposed military parade is envisioned as a significant display of U.S. military capability. Plans reportedly include a large contingent of personnel and vehicles. Air Force One and other aircraft are expected to participate in a flyover. The event is slated to feature various military demonstrations and public festivities on the National Mall. Proponents argue such a parade serves to honor the armed forces and Project National Strength. They view it as a demonstration of readiness and a tribute to service members. The timing on the Army's birthday is presented as a fitting tribute to a vital institution. However, the concept of a large-scale military parade in the U.S. is historically uncommon. Unlike many nations where such displays are regular features, American tradition has generally favored more subdued military commemorations. This historical context immediately raises questions about the parade's purpose and symbolism in the current political climate. The estimated cost of the parade has become a major point of contention. Initial reports suggested tens of millions of dollars in taxpayer money would be required. Critics argue this is an exorbitant sum for a single event. They contend these funds could be better allocated to other priorities. The financial aspect has fueled significant public and political debate. Lawmakers have expressed concern over the potential cost and lack of transparency. Some have proposed legislative measures to restrict or prohibit federal funding for such parades in the future. Beyond the financial cost, critics question the symbolic cost. They argue that a large military parade, particularly one centered around the president, risks appearing more like a display of personal power than a national tribute. Historical parallels are drawn to parades in authoritarian states, raising concerns about the message it sends domestically and internationally. The debate over the parade's cost and symbolism highlights deeper disagreements about the appropriate use of military power and public resources. It forces a national conversation about what constitutes a fitting display of national pride and strength in a democratic society. The event's planning has thus become a political act in itself, sparking debate before it even occurs. Security logistics for such a large event in the nation's capital are also complex and costly. Road closures, increased security personnel, and potential disruption to daily life add further layers of consideration. These operational challenges contribute to the overall expense and public impact. The parade's supporters emphasize the morale boost for troops and the opportunity for the public to see their military up close. They frame it as a celebration of American exceptionalism and military prowess. This perspective views the cost as a worthwhile investment in national unity and pride. Analyzing the parade requires considering multiple dimensions: its stated purpose, its historical context, its financial implications, and its symbolic resonance. Each of these elements contributes to the complex picture of what the event represents in contemporary America. The differing interpretations underscore the political polarization surrounding national symbols and executive actions. In direct opposition to the planned parade, a nationwide protest movement dubbed "No Kings" is organizing events for June 14th. The central message is a rejection of perceived authoritarian tendencies and an assertion of democratic principles. Organizers explicitly link the parade's grandeur to displays of power seen in non-democratic regimes. The No Kings movement is rooted in the principle that power in America resides with the people, not a single leader. They argue that the parade's focus on the president and military might is antithetical to the nation's founding ideals. The name itself evokes the American Revolution and the rejection of monarchy. Protest organizers, including groups like Indivisible, view the parade as an attempt to project an image of an all-powerful executive. They aim to counter this narrative by demonstrating the distributed nature of power across the country. Their goal is to show that civic engagement and political action are widespread. The movement seeks to reclaim symbols of patriotism. They assert that no individual or political faction has exclusive ownership of the flag or the concept of patriotism. Participating in protests is framed as a patriotic act, a defense of democratic values against perceived overreach. Hundreds of No Kings events are reportedly planned across the United States. These range from rallies and marches to local gatherings and educational events. The decentralized nature of the protests is a deliberate strategy to highlight the widespread opposition and the idea that real power is not in DC. The protests are intended to be visible everywhere he isn't. This geographic distribution emphasizes the movement's reach beyond the capital. It also serves as a direct counterpoint to the centralized display of power in Washington, D.C. The No Kings narrative taps into historical anxieties about executive power and potential tyranny. It draws parallels between the current political climate and moments in history when citizens felt compelled to push back against perceived abuses of authority. This historical framing resonates with those concerned about the health of American democracy. The movement's messaging directly challenges the parade's symbolism. While the parade aims to project unity and strength through military display, the protests aim to project strength through civic participation and dissent. This creates a direct ideological confrontation on a single day. Analyzing the No Kings protest requires understanding its historical lineage within American protest movements. From the Boston Tea Party to the civil rights marches, public dissent has been a recurring feature of the nation's political landscape. This movement fits within that tradition of citizens mobilizing to express grievances and advocate for change. The widespread nature of the protests also reflects contemporary trends in political organizing. The use of digital platforms and decentralized networks allows for rapid mobilization and coordination across vast distances. This demonstrates how modern technology facilitates distributed political action. The No Kings movement represents a significant segment of the population expressing deep concerns about the direction of the country. Their actions on June 14th are intended to be a powerful visual and political statement. It is a demonstration of active citizenship and a challenge to the dominant narrative presented by the parade. The simultaneous occurrence of a large military parade and widespread protests on June 14th offers a unique opportunity for political analysis. This day becomes a microcosm of broader national tensions and ideological divides. It highlights fundamental disagreements about leadership, power, and national identity. The parade and the protests represent two competing narratives about America. One emphasizes centralized authority, military strength, and traditional displays of power. The other emphasizes distributed power, civic engagement, and the importance of checks and balances. This clash of narratives is central to understanding the current political moment. Historians might view this day as a significant marker in the ongoing evolution of American political culture. It reflects a period of intense polarization where even national symbols and events become sites of contestation. The historical context of both military parades and protest movements provides valuable perspective. Political analysts can examine how these events mobilize different segments of the population. The parade likely appeals to those who value strong leadership and military power, while the protests resonate with those concerned about democratic norms and civil liberties. The turnout and messaging of each event will offer insights into the strength and focus of these respective groups. For students of American government and history, June 14th provides a live case study in constitutional principles and civic action. It illustrates the dynamic tension between executive power and popular sovereignty. It also demonstrates how citizens engage with their government beyond traditional electoral politics. The day underscores the challenges of achieving national unity in a deeply divided society. Even events intended to be unifying, like honoring the military, can become politicized. This highlights the difficulty of finding common ground when fundamental values and interpretations of history diverge. The economic implications of the parade, contrasted with the grassroots nature of the protests, also offer a point of analysis. The allocation of significant public funds for a symbolic event is juxtaposed with citizens voluntarily organizing and funding their own counter-events. This contrast speaks to different priorities and resource allocation philosophies. Ultimately, June 14th is more than just a day of events. It is a day of political performance and counter-performance. Both the parade and the protests are designed to send messages, shape public opinion, and assert particular visions of America. Analyzing these messages and their reception is crucial for understanding the contemporary political landscape. The day serves as a reminder that American democracy is not static. It is a continuous process of debate, negotiation, and contestation. The planned events on June 14th are a vivid illustration of this ongoing process. June 14th is set to be a day of stark and significant contrast. A planned military parade, intended by some to project national strength and honor the armed forces, will be met by a nationwide wave of no kings, protests asserting the power of the people and challenging perceived authoritarianism. These competing events, occurring simultaneously, underscore deep divisions within the nation regarding leadership, the use of public resources, and the very definition of patriotism and democratic governance. We encourage citizens, historians, political analysts, and students to observe these events critically. Consider the historical context, analyze the stated and implicit messages, and evaluate the implications for the future of American democracy. Engage in informed discussion, research the different perspectives, and reflect on what this day reveals about the state of the nation. Your active engagement in understanding these dynamics is vital for a healthy republic. So, what's your take on these events? Do you see the military parade as a display of strength or a concerning symbol? And what about the No Kings protests? Do they resonate with your vision of America? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your perspective. If you found this analysis valuable and want to keep uncovering the deeper meanings behind today's political events, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to Demystify Trends, and share it with others who crave clarity in the chaos. Thanks for watching.